Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here for another daily movie review. Today we're going to be taking a look at 1997's Wishmaster. The film is directed by Robert Kurtzman, written by Peter Atkins. It stars people: Tammy Lauren, Andrew Divoff, Angus Scrimm, and others. Ted Raimi is in it. Dan Hicks, John Biner, Chris Lemon. A bunch of people are in this movie. The logline plot synopsis is: a demonic djinn attempts to grant its owners three wishes, which will allow him to summon his brethren to Earth. So yeah, evil genie movie. Who doesn't like one of those? So this is an interesting flick. I'd actually never seen it before. It's the first time I've ever actually sat and watched it. You know, because it is kind of in the pantheon of slashers or franchises, right? It kind of stands alongside some of more of the B tier, maybe even C tier. This might be approaching C tier. Good old Artisan Entertainment production, if you remember them from back in the day. Um, and it's always been around though. I remember seeing previews for it, trailers growing up all the time. Wishmaster, the franchise itself, and I've seen it around on streaming services over the years, and just I don't know why, I just never really got around to checking it out. Like you would think maybe I would. It seems like something I would be into just to watch. Not necessarily because I expect much out of it, but something that I'm surprised I just never got around to. So we watched it last night, 1997's Wishmaster. What did I think of it? Broadly speaking, I enjoyed it. It's a little rote. It's not super... It's not trying to be super clever. It kind of knows what it is, but it does have a little bit of an edge, I think, over a lot of these movies, which is in the special effects department. And I think the lead performance by Andrew Divoff, who plays like the djinn, he plays the demon character, is excellent. It's really campy and fun, and I think the whole cast is kind of game for the kind of movie that they're making. Excuse me. They all seem like they have like a good understanding of the tone of the movie, which is like a mixture between, kind of a Nightmare on Elm Street and I don't know, what would I say, like in a campy monster movie. And they all kind of get that, and they all vibe with it. I mean, I guess you could maybe say that the lead actress, is this who it is? Yeah, Tammy Lauren, is maybe the one that plays it the most straight. But even then, she's not bad. Like, nobody's bad. And I was thankful for that, because a lot of times in movies like this, you really have to be forgiving of the performances. Like, you really, really do. But I never found it super distracting, because it felt all of the piece, And because that's another thing, right? Like a lot of times you get movies like this, you'll have like one really great performance, like somebody who's really keyed into what they're doing and the kind of movie they're making, and then the rest of the cast, like everybody's in a different kind of movie. Thankfully, Wishmaster doesn't do that. It's got a very like Sam Raimi-esque tone. I know it's like a Wes Craven Presents movie. He's the producer, but Robert Kurtzman is if you know who he is, he's only directed a couple movies, but he's mostly known for special effects stuff. I mean, he's still doing makeup and effects to this day. Like he did The Haunting on Hill House, Doctor Sleep, which I know the effects in Doctor Sleep are good though, right? But he's like kind of one of these OG practical effects guys. Rob Bottin, Greg Nicotero, like he came up with those dudes. His credits go all the way back to Evil Dead 2. So he's good friends with Sam Raimi. And although Sam Raimi did not have anything official to do with this movie, his influence is clearly there. There is a sense of fun, of mischievousness. That's what I love about Raimi's stuff. We talked about, I don't know, a few months ago, Drag Me to Hell. It almost got like a tone almost like that. Not quite as cartoony, but it definitely goes into that territory. That self-aware, having fun, kind of putting on a show, knowing what kind of movie we're making, and I really appreciate the hell out of that, especially in the time that this came out. It gives it its own like kind of unique flavor. It really does, and it makes it feel idiosyncratic in a way that a lot of these don't. A lot of these do feel kind of generic, because if there is actually one really negative downside, I would say, to this movie, that it's shot kind of like a TV movie. Most of what came out after this in the franchise, I believe everything after this is kind of was direct-to-video stuff. And it has direct-to-video stuff of the 90s and the early 2000s has like a very specific look. It's something I immediately associate with Showtime. Like all the TV movies on Showtime, They all have like kind of this flat, almost kind of bland, monochrome kind of vibe to it. And this has that. But the thing that I think overcomes that is the attention to detail with some of the effects and whatnot. The creature itself, the different forms of the creature, or the demon, the djinn, the evil genie, are really cool. And they're really a lot of fun. And there's some really, really fun moments. I think, there's a moment where some dude's like, his skeleton is ripping out of his own body. And it's really great. It's really fun. And then I watched, I didn't finish it. I watched half of Wishmaster 2. Not just because I wasn't enjoying it, although it's not as good as Wishmaster 1, but I was having fun with it. I just didn't get a chance to finish it. A guy gets fucking slammed into these prison bars and his whole body folded up. Also, no, in that movie, also, there's a lawyer whose body, the lower half of his body twists around, and then he fucks himself. Yeah. Wishmaster might be a series worth checking out if you're into that kind of goofy nonsense. Yeah, because I would say, Wishmaster 2 is way more overtly goofy. This one, I think, actually finds the right balance between kind of trying to be freaky and trying to be silly. By Wishmaster 2, they're like, well, let's just have fun. Let's go with it. And I was enjoying it, so I'll probably go back to it. But, I felt a lot more Sam Raimi than I did Wes Craven, even though Wes Craven is the credited guy as a producer. But I can definitely see it being kind of those two dudes. And I think Robert Kurtzman, maybe not the best director in the world, but he knows how to shoot special effects. And it really shows. It really does. Because there's tons of movies like this that just don't deliver in that department. Even if the effects are interesting, you always have to go in with a caveat, being like, well, he's good relative to what they're trying to accomplish, or good relative to the budget. I think he nails it on that front. I couldn't help it when I was watching it. I couldn't help but wonder, or kind of be excited at the notion. I would have loved if Sam Raimi had directed this movie. Maybe he would have felt it would be just too redundant. Or even Wes Craven, maybe. Although I'm not the biggest Wes Craven fan. I mean, I think he's okay. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's a bad director. The older I get, the less interesting I find a lot of his stuff. Especially if you look at the vast majority of his filmography. Nobody talks about that. Everybody talks about Nightmare on Elm Street, maybe The New Nightmare, Scream. That's kind of it. People don't often talk about his other stuff. People Under the Stairs, Shocker, because a lot of those are they're very messy movies. That's my opinion. Maybe someday we'll talk about them. Probably not going to get to it this holiday season though. I'm surprised we've gotten as fucking far as we have. These daily movie reviews, watching horror movies out the ace. I haven't even talked about everything I've watched either. That's what makes it even crazier. Other things of note about Wishmaster. Not really. Other than the fact I think it was just a pleasant surprise. And that's my biggest takeaway from it, was that I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I did not go into it thinking that I was going to like it as much as I did. I kind of put it on as a lark. I just needed to watch something. I was like, 87 minutes? Never seen Wishmaster. 'Tis the season to check out things in that fashion. Let's roll. So, what are you going to do, ladies and germs? What are you going to do? But it definitely has me interested in at least checking out the rest of the series. Like I said, Wishmaster 2, watched about half of it. I wouldn't say it's a good movie so far, but there is something, it's got a sense of fun to it that I was enjoying, for sure. So I will probably finish that right after I get off of this. But, yeah. And also, who doesn't love a good Ted Raimi appearance? Huh? Who doesn't like that? I do. Anyways, all right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, a bunch of links in the description for Facebook, for Instagram, for my Twitter, for my brother Dan's Twitter. Also, if you would like to make a recommendation for one of these daily videos, throw that in the comments. I almost said throw the link in the description. No, leave it in the comments section. Also, keep your calendar free for election night. Dan and I think we're going to be doing a live stream. We're going to be cajoling, doing some nerdy shit, checking out all the hot election night action. So I don't know when we haven't figured out when we're going to start or anything, but keep your ears peeled, your eyes peeled, maybe dip in, dip out, see what we're doing. Might be goofing and gaffing. Dan might be crying. I don't know. It could get wild, everybody. All right. You have the best one ever.